Look at that. I'm live. Woohoo. Uh, you probably figured I was going live today, considering this is the last Sunday of February. Pretty sure. Yeah, next week is March. Ugh, already. Damn. Um, I used to go live at just like any day when I first started streaming back in like, I don't know, was it 2016, 2017? No, it's 2017. It was only until college I started going live on Fridays because those would be my days off. Now that that's out of the equation, theoretically, I could go live any day I want again, but eh, used to going live on Fridays. And I'm sure everyone else is used to me going live on Fridays. So, anyway, I see some people here in the chat. Hello, Wheat Greatness. Hello, Bother Me None. Corbin Jackson. Robert. Hello, everyone. How y'all doing? I am doing pretty decent, actually. That's mainly because I had a really good sleep. I don't really know what was so special about the about the night's sleep I had, about the sleep I had last night, but it was just fucking great. I don't know. It's not like I was having bad sleep lately or anything. I mean, every once in a while I have a bad night's sleep, but I don't know, something about last night. Maybe I was having some really good dream. I don't know. I don't remember my dreams, or at least I hardly ever remember my dreams, but when I woke up, I was just in a positive mood. I don't know. You're doing fine. That's good to hear. You're all right. You ever seen Breaking Bad? Watching it now. Breaking Bad is one of my favorite shows of all time. So, yes, I have seen Breaking Bad. Love Breaking Bad. My friend Xavier and his girlfriend spent 3 nights at my house. We smoked up. Oh, that's cool. The 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 last 3 nights, or it was just something that happened recently? Yeah, that sounds fun. I haven't. I've never had anyone over here, or at least I've never had anyone come here and spend the night at my house. I've spent nights at other people's houses. Um, the last time I did that was when I went to a party in was it 2018 or 2019? Either one of those 2 years, but I'm leaning more towards 18. Um, it was a really fun party. Lots of weed there too. But yeah, the party went on until the wee hours of the morning, and I just stayed the night. So that was fun. I don't know what Dracula Flow is. I was listening to EDM earlier. I don't really listen to much EDM. I don't really break out too much when it comes. I don't really break out too much out of my comfort zone when it comes to music. Admittedly, mostly listen to rock and metal. I've explained this before, but I remember, like I don't know, 6 years ago, I tried listening to rap more, and I stuck to that for a little while. But then I don't know. I just kind of went back to primarily listening to rock and metal, mostly rock. Yeah, Monday to Thursday. That's cool. I don't know when my next. I don't know when's the next time I'm gonna hang out with some friends. It's been a while. It's been a minute. But one thing's for sure. Next time I do hang out with them, I know I'm getting high because that's pretty much all I do with them. Well, that's not all I do, but that tends to happen when I meet up with friends. Have you heard about KFC launching a new chicken pizza hybrid called Cheeza? Chizza. No, but that's chicken a chicken hybrid pizza. I I don't know. That doesn't sound very appetizing to me. A chicken pizza hybrid. What? All right. Okay. Maybe it would maybe it will blow my expectations away. I don't know, but when I think of pizza, I don't think of chicken mixing well with it. So yeah. But then again, well, I did have KFC last week because my mom brought it back home. There's a KFC place right by her job, and sometimes after work she brings home KFC. Sometimes out of the blue too. Sometimes we don't even ask for it, but she just brings it home, and I'm not complaining. I mean, I don't really. I'm not gonna. KFC isn't like my favorite place or anything, but I will settle for it if if she brings it home. I have an ounce of Canadian dispo weed. Cool. Rock and EDM is mainly what I like. Yeah, maybe I should expand my horizons more when it comes to music. I always say that, but I end up never doing that. Most of the music I post in your Discord is rap. Yeah, I know. I see. I see what people post in the music chat in my Discord server. Admittedly, 99% of the time I don't listen to it, but yeah, it's cool that people share music there too, alongside, me sharing music that I'm sure 99% of the people on the server don't listen to either. Tomorrow marks 2 years since Russia invaded Ukraine. Yeah. Yeah, I heard the 2-year anniversary was coming up. It's crazy how much time flew by. I remember people saying, "Oh, it's gonna just give Russia a week at most. They'll have Ukraine within that time frame." Well, that didn't end up happening. There's a small amount of rap music that I like. Yeah, I don't like that much rap either. I mean, I respect the genre. I'm not gonna be one of those people who say, "Oh, it takes no talent to rap," because that is just fucking insane to say. I've actually seen that, and well, I don't really see it that. I haven't like seen that in years, but I remember seeing this kind of sort of frequently in rock comment sections. Oh, rap takes no talent. This is real music. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, just because you don't like a genre of music does not fucking mean that genre of music takes like no talent to create. That is just a fucking erroneous to claim. If rap truly takes no talent, how about you start a fucking rap career if it's that easy? Idiots. Again, this is why I don't like so much of the rock community. Like a lot of them are just fucking pretentious snobs that shit on other genres of music. Again, it's fine to not like a genre of music, whatever. There are genres of music that I personally don't enjoy. But again, like to unfairly shit on a genre and say it takes no talent to create music within said genre, stupid. Stupid. I'm making a munchie right now. KFC gross, McDonald's is better. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. They're both fast food slop at the end of the day. So, um, yeah. Again, I don't despise KFC. I know a lot of people hate KFC, but I'll eat there or I'll eat KFC food again if that's like the only thing I have for dinner. Again, sometimes my mom brings home KFC because there's a KFC place right by her job. So it's not like I'm gonna just say no. I'm not gonna eat this food. I'll eat it, but Yeah, I mean, I've had way better chicken at local places. Message retracted. Have you tried Coca-Cola Spice and Coca-Cola Zero Sugar Spice? No, because I don't drink soda. Never cared about soda. Some people think that is so crazy. I've encountered this both online and in real life. You don't drink soda? What the fuck is wrong with you? I've never I mean, I'll have soda maybe at, like, a social gathering or a party if it's the only thing available to drink. It's not like I've never had soda before, but I don't know. I never really cared for soda. Never cared for the whole cola war shit either. Oh, Pepsi's better. Oh, Coca-Cola's better. It's all the fucking same shit to me. I mean, maybe I would notice a difference if I drank both frequently, but I don't. So it's again, it's all just the same shit to me. Never enjoyed soda. I mean, that's probably for the better. That shit is horrible for your teeth. In and Out makes the best burgers. Save Ukraine and free Palestine. Indeed. Oh, hello, hero of what? Hello, hey, Mikey, how have you been? I've been decent, I suppose. Have my ups and downs. It's been a while since I've seen you in these streams. How you doing? I could say the same about rock music, but I'm aware that it takes talent to produce rock music. It annoys me when people hate on rap like that. Yeah, I mean, I see this a lot, and when it comes to like, you know, rock circles on the internet. You know, all these pretentious snobs that just write off other genres of music and say that it's talentless, all because they don't like said genre. Again, it's really fucking stupid and juvenile. Have you listened to Trivium? No, I haven't. Heard of him though, I think. I used to make rant videos about rappers back on my old channel, but these days I ignore things I don't like. I've never made a rap rant, or at least I never made a rant about the rap genre. I don't believe. I mean, I have over 1,000 videos on this channel. Forgive me if I don't remember every single video I've made, but no, I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't know. Back in 2017, I think I made a video defending rap music against that very same stupid claim that rap supposedly takes no talent to make, and you know how that's so fucking stupid to say. I remember that video. I just don't remember when exactly I made it. Again, I have over 1,000 videos on my channel. Actually, speaking of that, since my 10th YouTube anniversary is coming up in a few months, I've been actually binge watching some of my old Miiverse videos, which is something I haven't done in years because, for the longest time I would say, I'd rather not watch those videos because they're really bad. And I mean, I still kind of stand by that opinion. A lot of those videos weren't great. It was just, a kid recording with either his iPhone or iPod Touch, recording a gamepad screen and getting mad that they got posts taken down and got banned off of a children's site. But anyway, I don't know. I don't hate those videos as much as I did in the past, though. They're a part of my, I guess you could say, internet history. They played a substantial role for this channel. A lot of people who still watch me today found me through those videos. So, it's not like those videos are completely worthless and mean absolutely nothing to me because, a lot of the friendships I've made throughout the years on the internet stemmed from those videos or just from Miiverse in general. You know? So yeah, that's what I've been doing on some nights, some until like very early in the morning because I stay up so goddamn late. I just watch those old Meavers videos and relive the memories. I still don't know if I'll do anything for the 10-year anniversary. I don't have anything special planned. I mean, I used to whenever I'd hit a subscriber milestone, like every 100 subscribers, I would make Q&A videos, but then eventually those I didn't enjoy making anymore because at some point, and when I was approaching 1,000 subscribers, and when I finally got 1,000 subscribers, I would just get so many goddamn questions to the point where those videos would be over an hour long and became more of a hassle to make than, something that was actually fun to make. So I much prefer doing these streams when it comes to like answering questions in a video format. Yeah, the most I can see myself doing for that though is just a video acknowledging the fact that I've have been making videos on this channel for 10 years. God damn, it's insane that 2014 is already 10 years ago. Anyway, let me get back to the chat. Where did the fuck did I even leave off? I went on a whole tangent there, and I forget which comment that stemmed from. I think it was this one. All right, next comment. I love soda. I don't. Again, I never got the appeal of soda. My mom used to drink soda a lot, but she has since cut that out of her life. She's had tooth problems, so it's best for her to not drink soda. I drink pop all the time, yet I'm 145 pounds and 5'11". Well, I'm heavier than that, but I don't care. Again, I don't care for soda. Been busy? Yeah, I feel that. Actually, no. I haven't been busy lately, but yeah, sometimes I get tied up with shit. Hello, foreskin biter. How you doing? I don't hate all politicians, but yeah, a lot of politicians in this country. Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing them rot in hell. I hate beer as much as you hate soda. Well, I don't drink alcohol either. Fuck that. I never got alcohol culture either. You know, getting drunk all the time. Yeah, that's not my thing either. Even at parties with friends, I've been offered alcohol, and I just say, not into alcohol, no thank you. I much prefer just getting high. Ah, yes, those Meverse days. Yes, very, very nostalgic. I used Meverse for a couple of years, then I started using Twitter and kind of abandoned Meverse. Well, I abandoned Meverse for YouTube. Um, it got to a point where I was having a lot more fun making YouTube videos than Meverse posts. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into why I stopped posting on Meverse. Well, one, I just felt like I was getting too old for the site. I didn't say this at the time because I felt it would be kind of insulting to those in my audience who still used Meverse and were on the younger side. But I felt like I was outgrowing the site because I would go on places like the YouTube community or Smash Bros community or whatever the fuck else community was active on that site. I forget all the communities that people primarily posted on, but I would just kind of observe the kind of people who were posting on those communities, And I'd be like, there is no shot in hell this person is older than, like, I don't know, 12. And here I was, 14, and about to, was about to go on, was about to start high school. I just kind of felt out of place with all of the fucking little kids that were on there. So that's kind of that was a big factor into why I left, and also because I was getting increasingly frustrated with all of the times my posts would get taken down and I would get banned, and it just got to a point where I really didn't want to fucking deal with that shit anymore. And also, of course, the update where you were limited to only posting on the site 30 times a day, including comments. So, the last thing that was keeping me on Meverse were the people I was talking to. And, that for the most part was going away. So I had no reason to stay on the site anymore. So, I had more fun. But overall, I had more fun at that point making rant videos as opposed to rant posts on Meverse that, where it would be a coin flip if the post was going to get taken down or not. I hope that anti-trans law won't pass in Georgia. Yeah, I've heard about many of the anti-trans laws that are, popping up across the country. I just find it so depressing that in the year 2024, people still want to dictate how others choose to live their lives. I mean, I know it's kind of a corny point, but I think the point is still valid. Why the fuck should you care if one wants to transition to a different gender or if one is attracted to someone who is the same gender? Oh, they don't conform to my values. Who the fuck cares? You have your set of values, people have their own set of values. No one is being harmed in the process. Everything is consensual and legal. So I don't see the fucking issue. But, it doesn't matter to these bigoted politicians and their, a lot of their voter base too. A lot of the people who eat up this, the slop from conservative pundits about how trans people are supposedly, a force we should oppose at all costs. Your oldest video is going to be a decade old this year. I know. I know. I just talked about I just talked about the 10th year anniversary coming up. Foreskin Biter is a funny username. Yeah, it's amusing. Got a little chuckle out of me. I personally wouldn't parade around with a username like that, but to each their own, I suppose. Getting high is more fun than getting drunk. I have 4 glass bongs and an ounce of weed. Well, I can't necessarily compare the two because I've never gotten drunk and I've gotten high more times than I can fucking count. So I don't know how the experiences differ. Well, I mean, maybe someday I'll know, but again, I have no interest in alcohol. So who knows? Hello, guitar rocker. How you doing? Crazy how time flies like that. I know. I know. It's crazy. I mean, I've said this before, but when I first started making videos, I was like, yeah, I don't think I'll be doing this shit for that long. I just wanted to make a few videos, showing off Meverse reports, or at least at the time, Meverse reports that I felt were ridiculous. Again, I've said this before too, but I look back at some of those old Meverse reports and I'm like, yeah, I can see why this was taken down now. Maybe I shouldn't have posted that on the children's website, but you know. At the time, I wanted to show off some stupid Meverse reports, and then I planned on probably just abandoning this channel and never making videos again. But I, I I just ended up having fun making videos, and here I am, nearly 10 years later, still making videos. I've had people throughout the years pop up, from back in the day pop up and say, "Holy shit, you're still making videos? I figured this channel would have been abandoned for years, but you're still here." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm still here. I'm not the one that disappeared. You're the one that disappeared." I've never been full out drunk, but I've had some beer. I've drank wine before and ginger ale. Well, that's not well. No, I've had wine before, but I never really. I only had like I don't know a sip of it, and I didn't really enjoy it that much. Will you ever quit like Matt Pat did? Well, I've never made the promise that I'll be making videos for like the rest of my life or anything. I feel like there will come a day where I'm like, you know what? I'm ready to put this video shit behind me and move on. I don't know when that point will be. No guarantees. Who knows? Maybe it'll be like in a year from now. I'll feel like, I don't really want to make videos anymore, or at least not make videos on a regular basis anymore. But as of right now, I have no plans of stopping, or at least I have no plans on, stopping, putting a halt to making videos on a regular basis or anything, because again, it's still a lot of fun for me. And it just bends my mind that for 10 years I've had, of course, not a huge audience. I've always had about, 150 to like 200 views per video, which, is, I guess, nothing in the grand scheme of things, but it's something to me. I never thought I'd have the attention of just, a couple of hundred of people, a couple hundred of people, couple hundred people, you know, with each video I make. And I've had videos that have, garnered a substantial amount of views, thousands or even tens of thousands, or in the case of one video, over a million. Again, I never thought I would have the attention of that many people. I remember thinking it was the coolest thing ever when I first hit 1,000 subscribers. I was like, wow. I mean, I've had videos that even before that that have hit 1,000 views, but I've never actually had 1,000 people following me on anything. So that was really substantial to me. And now I have over 7,000 subscribers, 7,500 and something. I haven't checked the exact number, but that's what the public subscriber count says 7.5K subscribers. I'm drinking Sprite right now. I think that was my mom's favorite soda, Sprite. She also liked Pepsi, but again, she hasn't drank soda in a long time because she has problems with her teeth, and she'd rather not exacerbate those problems with with soda. Again, that shit causes tooth decay. So yeah, she doesn't want to deal with problems like that. I'm gonna grind up some weed to pack a bowl or two. I have no other plans today or work. Well, that's perfect because I'm streaming today, obviously. So you could be here the whole time potentially. Feels like 2017, best year of my life, was just yesterday. Hey, 2017 was a really good year for me too. I don't know if it was the best year of my life. I mean, 2014 was also pretty great too. I don't know, either one of those 2 years maybe I would consider the best year of my life, at least thus far. Hopefully, some future year will be another year I'll consider one of the best years of my life. Certainly not this year, though. I mean, just 4 days into this year, tragedy struck. I'm sure you all know what I'm referring to. McDonald's Sprite hits different. I've never had a Sprite at McDonald's, and I actually don't know if I ever had a Sprite, period. I know I've had Coca-Cola before and Pepsi, but I probably had some other sodas besides those two, but yeah, I don't remember exactly because again, it's so rare when I drink soda. I don't drink soda very much either. Sparkling water is better anyway. Yeah, I like just drinking water too. The thing that's great about living in NYC is that you can just drink water straight from the tap. No worries about getting sick or anything or the water being dirty. I could go on forever about 2017. Yeah, I could go on forever about that year too. It was a really good year for me. Oh yeah, and I also have the courage profile pic that I used to use back then as my profile pic now. Only OGs remember. Same in Canada. The water is extremely clean here. Yeah, that's that's one of the things that makes me feel fortunate to to live here. Clean water straight from the tap. I mean, compare that to places like Flint, Michigan that had a water crisis a while ago, you know? I remember that profile pic, holy nostalgia. Yeah. Still had it saved for all those years. I was for a while I was thinking about using the profile pic again because I really like it. I didn't make it for anyone who thinks I made that profile pic. I actually found it on Google way back around the time I started using it as my profile pic. I don't know who made it. Completely forget the source. For all I know, the original source is gone because I tried reverse image searching the profile pic and I couldn't find anything anymore. So I don't know why someone felt compelled to put an apathetic looking courage in front of a fire background, but someone did it, and I'm glad they did it because it's a funny and cool profile pic. Target sold me expired milk the other day. Well, good. I hope you didn't drink it. I hope you looked at the expiration date before you drank it. It probably would have been all chunky and disgusting anyway. But yeah, that's unacceptable. Actually, we've never had that problem, at least with my local Target, where they would give us or where they would sell expired shit. Maybe Targets where you are have a different standard. But yeah, I hope you made a big stink about that because um that's pretty unacceptable that they were selling expired milk. The one single Target in my city closed at the mall after a year of being open. Yeah, I assume that's because it was the only Target in your city and people were used to going to other supermarkets, so, there's no Walmart in New York City. There are times where I tell people I've never been inside of a Walmart, and they're like, "How the fuck have you never been in a Walmart? What? They're everywhere where I'm at." And I'm like, "Well, that's the thing. They're not everywhere where I am at. I have to go to like Long Island if I want to go to Walmart, which was only like, I don't know, 2 times in my life. The first time was when I was a little kid. For some reason, we went there. I forget why, but my mom took me, and I went with, I think, also my uncle. We made a whole day about. We made a. We There was a special occasion for me because that was my first time ever going into Walmart. I was like 8 or 9 years old at the time, and I thought it was the coolest thing because I would see Walmart commercials all the time, and I was like, "I've never been in that store," and I was finally gonna go in that store. I mean, yeah, it was exciting for me at the time. And then the second time was, actually around the time my grandmother died. My mom wanted to get some, like, special kind of, picture frames that she only found at Walmart online because we're gonna have a bunch of pictures, uh, set up at my, grandmother's, wake. But outside of those 2 times, I've never stepped foot in a Walmart because they're not in NYC, and the people here don't want a Walmart here. They feel like it'll bring the undesirables or whatever the fuck they call, you know, lesser privileged people here. Would you ever try to no damage Wind Waker? I don't know. I've never thought about no damaging Wind Waker, and I never really think about no damaging any game I've played. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a challenge I'll uh I'll try out someday. I don't know. I don't know if I have the mental fortitude to do something like that though. I feel like if I were to try to no damage a game and I'm doing pretty good and then maybe in like I don't know the middle or maybe towards the end of the game I start, receiving damage and I'll be like, "Ah, so fucking close to the finish line." Yeah, I tend to get pretty pissed off when uh when a game is kicking my ass. There's this local Canadian grocery chain called Save on Foods, and it's where I get groceries because Walmart sucks. Yeah, Walmart does fucking suck. Um, evil corporation. Well, yeah, that the same can be said for a lot of corporate chains, though. But Walmart especially is terrible. There's unfortunately not a lot of like mom and pa shops that I could shop at here in New York City. It's all mostly like Target and other chains like that, which is unfortunate. I'd rather go to stores like that than like Target, places like that. There's 2 Walmarts in my tiny city. Hmm. I don't know when will be the next time I ever go to a Walmart again. I'm not like itching to go back to Walmart or anything. But yeah, the closest Walmart to me is all the way in Long Island, so yeah, it's not like it's a place I could go to at any time or anything. Mhm. So, do any of you have anything going on in your lives currently? Anything interesting? Because my life is boring. I don't really have anything interesting going on, or at least anything that's really worth talking about in a stream. Gonna pack a bowl here soon. Cool. It's been a minute since I got high. I mean, I'm not really like desperate to get high at the moment or anything, but eh, I mean, it's a thing for me where I'm like, if a friend sends me a message and they're like, "Hey, we're all gonna meet up and smoke some weed. You want to join us?" I'll be like, "Yeah, cool." Gives me something to do for the day. But yeah, I've never. Well, I can't say never. In like 2017, I was getting high pretty regularly, so I guess you could. I guess you could call me a stoner back then, maybe. But yeah, definitely not a stoner these days. It's more like a special occasion thing for me these days. Again, when I'm with friends and such, and I don't really care. I mean, you know, again, getting high is something like isn't really something I need to do like every day or anything. I mean, it would probably help with stuff like my anxiety and depression because part of the reason why 2017 was such a great year for me was because anxiety and depression wasn't really much of a problem for me in that year because I attribute it to the cannabis use. I was smoking weed on a damn near daily basis in that year, or at least the first half of that year. And it was doing wonders for my anxiety and depression. Again, wasn't having much problems with anxiety and depression when I was smoking regularly. So, maybe I would benefit from, maybe I would benefit from, going back to smoking all the time like I did back then. But even still, it's something that I'm not like, super desperate to go back to. I mean, I do know there are people who have the who have the opposite reaction, where weed does worse in their anxiety and such. I mean, there was a study that came out recently that was showing that people were having really bad reactions to weed. I was watching a secular talk video about this, like, I don't know, a week or two ago. Basically, people were having these crazy reactions to weed where they were like, they were developing these conditions where they were throwing up constantly and were getting really, really sick. And, I think things like that should be talked about more. And no, this isn't me, like, trying to be all reefer madness and say, this is why we should outlaw weed and not let people smoke this do this evil drug. Of course, it's a case by case basis. Weed should absolutely be legal. I've been an advocate for legalizing all drugs for a long time now. But, I do think things like that should be talked about more. The potential side effects of, constantly smoking weed. I mean, again, there are plenty of people out there who don't face any bad side effects. I'm not saying this is like something that's applicable to all users, but you know, I think it's still something that should be talked about more if someone wants to get into recreationally using weed. These are like potential side effects you may face. Your body may have a really bad reaction to weed, and not just, mentally, but you could also have really bad physical reactions to it. Because, I think people really talk up weed a lot and just kind of, talk about just the positive aspects of using weed. Because again, maybe they have never had a bad side effect, and that's good. Fine. But I was kind of guilty of this back then, kind of hyping up the drug and saying this is something that everyone should use because for me personally, I have seen these really positive effects. You know, again, it pretty much well, not got rid of, but really, helped me out when it came to my anxiety and depression. So that's why you should smoke weed too. But not everyone is going to have the same reaction. Not everyone is going to have the same benefits. It could actually be quite the opposite. And I was kind of ignorant to those kind of side effects back then because it was having such a positive effect on me. One time I had a massive panic attack with weed last year. Yeah, I mean, I have friends who don't want to smoke weed because it worsened their anxiety. It gave them a panic attack. It's even done that to me sometimes. I've talked up weed plenty of times on this channel. Again, I've said, it's done great things when it comes to my anxiety, but there were times where I did have a panic attack after smoking weed, and then, you know, it's not all 100% good for me all of the time. I mean, that's kind of rare though. The last time that happened to me was, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago, but still, there were like one or two instances where that happened to me. 2017, Mikey probably would have liked me. Yeah, he probably would have. Maybe. You don't have to smoke weed to be 420 friendly. You should get a bong. Well, that would require me smoking weed on a regular basis, I suppose, and I don't do that, so I'm fine with just, using other people's bongs for now. But yeah, it's not a miracle drug by any means. No drug is a miracle drug, though. I wish such a drug existed, though. Anyway, I say that like I have another subject in mind, but I don't. I don't know what else to really talk about. Always at the mercy of the chat to bring up a topic. I'm eating ice cream right now. There's a topic. Yeah. It's been a long time since I had ice cream. There's a Carvel right by me that I could go to at pretty much any time. But I just don't. Well, I'd rather not do that this year though. Or not this year, this time of year, because we're still in winter and it's still rather cold out. Well, actually, no. Today is 43 degrees, so it's not that cold. More just, a nice balance of warm and cold weather. But no, I'd rather save ice cream for maybe the springtime and definitely the summertime. Should go to Carvel one of these days when it gets warmer out. Cheers, I'm packing a bowl right now. Cheers. There's a Carvel in my area too. They're so good. Yeah, I really like Carvel. I'm a plain person though. I mostly just like vanilla ice cream. Sometimes I get sprinkles, but most of the time I just like just the ice cream itself. Weed's not for everyone. I don't think every person should be smoking it, but it does have medical benefits. Yeah, I mean, the medical benefits vary from person to person. Some people don't face medical benefits. I mean, again, there's a study that showed there were more people with conditions like constantly throwing up, and it was tied to frequent uh, usage of weed because now that it's you know becoming legal in more and more states in this country, there are more and more people that are using weed now, and you're seeing more of these kinds of conditions pop up. Again, this isn't like an argument to say that we should stop legalizing weed. If one wants to try it, that they're more within their rights to, and if they have positive, if they face nothing but benefits, then good. They should keep using weed, but there should be more talk about these sorts of side effects for those who are who do wish to try weed and maybe use it on a regular basis. It's just something that they should be aware of. Yeah, I'm eating plain chocolate now. Yeah, I do have chocolate ice cream too at times, but I mostly go with vanilla. Again, I'm a very boring plain person. My favorite kind of pizza is just plain pizza, no toppings. Sometimes I'll go with pepperoni, but most of the times I just have plain pizza. Like the only times I have pepperoni pizza is if I'm like at a party and the only pizza they ordered was pepperoni. Yeah, that's called cannabinoid hypermesis syndrome. Yeah, that's what it's called. I knew it had a name, but the name just escaped me because it's been like I don't know over a week, maybe 2 weeks since I looked at the study. Music sounds so good when you're high. I know this is a stereotype, but the best time or the best when I listen to "The Dark Side of the Moon" by Pink Floyd, I would say the best time I ever listened to that album, or the well, I mean, it makes it sound like the album is only good when you're high, which is not the case at all. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. It's a masterpiece of an album, but in I think 2017, I was at a party. I got high. There was a hammock in my friend's backyard, and no one was in the backyard. So I went there by myself. Was laying down at the hammock, and it was nighttime too. Just looking up at the sky. I was high as fuck, and I decided, you know what? Why not do the stoner stereotype and listen to Pink Floyd's "Dark Side of the Moon" while high? And I listened to that whole album while just laying down on that hammock, looking at the night sky, and that was just a magical experience. But by all means, that does not mean the album is only enjoyable when you're high, though. Because even when I mean, I've listened to that album for years before I even started using weed, and it's still a masterpiece when sober. It's sad how it's rarely talked about because I see people blaming school shootings on cannabis use because this factually true information is never talked about. Well, that's just stupid. um, I mean, weed is typically the drug that chills you out. I mean, when I'm doing weed, when I'm high off of weed, a lot of the times I just want to sleep, or at least I just wind down and just lie down on like a couch or something. The last thing on my mind is going out and doing something heinous like that. I mean, isn't it the stereotype that weed makes you lazy or some shit, which, is also stupid, but, a little bit more closer to reality than wanting to go out and do a school shooting. My friend Landon had CHS, but he's fine now. It generally happens to those that smoke over half an ounce a day. Oh, well, I hope your friend Landon is doing better now. Does he still smoke, or did he stop because of that? I love watching TV when high, too. I can't say I've ever watched that much TV when high because I'm usually with friends when I'm high, and we're not usually watching TV when we're all together. Landon was smoking to an ounce a day, and I smoke 1 gram a day. He still smokes, but like a gram a day. I see. Yeah, I've known people who have smoked weed and then had like a really bad panic attack, and they never wanted to do it again. Never wanted to try it again after that. Which, is understandable. I mean, if you have a bad experience like that with anything, you're less compelled to want to try it again. I had a panic attack with weed that one time because I stupidly took 4 hits of a what the little stupid heart emojis blocking the of a 31% THC joint. Oh wow. Yeah. I mean, I've only had a panic attack like 2 times, and again, the last time that happened to me was like 6 years ago or whatever. So I never really worried that much when it came to like getting a panic attack. I mean, it's something that I've accepted that may happen, but you know, I I don't really worry about it too much when I'm getting high. I thought I would enjoy myself more with that, but oh well, lesson learned. Yeah, lesson learned. At least you know better now. I've been thinking of cutting my hair. It's starting to get really fucking annoying. Which is kind of rare because usually I don't like cutting my hair. But yeah, starting to get my face a lot. No, so let me turn on the light. It's getting really dark in here. I don't know if you saw my shirt, but it's a Ocarina of Time shirt. My second favorite Zelda game. My favorite being Wind Waker, if you didn't already know that. But really, it's extremely close for me. I love both Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker so much. And also Twilight Princess, I love a lot. Those are my top three Zelda games. But yeah, I know it's a really cold take, but Ocarina of Time is just such a great game. I mean, people complain about it being outdated, and yeah, I mean, in some aspects, of course, the game is dated. I mean, it's an N64 game, but I don't think it's like this outdated. I don't think it's like outdated trash like some people claim it is. Some people are like, I can't play this game. It's so old and it doesn't control like modern games. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. Again, yeah, of course, the game is not going to be up to snuff with modern games because it's a game that released in 1998 on the N64. It's like people who complain about OG Resident Evil 4. This game has tank controls. I can't play this game. It's borderline unplayable. Never had an issue with the tank controls in that game. Never had an issue with the tank controls in the earlier Resident Evil games either. Back when the games were, had fixed camera angles. I mean, yeah, sure. At first, the it takes a little bit to get. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you get the one, at least for me, once I got the hang of the controls in those old Resident Evil games, I was perfectly fine. I just played an older Resident Evil game. Just finished it yesterday for the third time, I believe. Resident Evil Code Veronica. A lot of people hate that game, but I personally like it, despite its pretty major flaws in some places. But with Resident Evil 4, OG Resident Evil 4, I mean, I never really got the criticism with its controls. I mean, the tank controls are a lot more easy to handle since, it's a third person camera perspective, over the shoulder third person camera perspective. So, it's not like it's fixed camera angles or anything like that. So, it plays a little bit more like a modern game. I should play OG Resident Evil 4 again. The last time I played it was in November, I think. Never can get enough of that game. Same thing with the remake. They made a masterpiece twice. There's a difference between old school and outdated. Yeah, I think AVGN once said that in an episode. There's old school and then there's outdated. Have I ever listened to Linkin Park? Yes, I have listened to Linkin Park. Not every Linkin Park album, though. I've listened to Hybrid Theory, Meteora, um, Hunting Party. Listen to One More Light as well. Though I don't really like One More Light all that much. Admittedly. I mean, when I first listened to that album, I listened to it around the time it dropped before Chester Bennington killed himself. I thought the album sucked, personally. I don't know. I've always found it really boring and listless. And I've tried re-listening to that album in the years since. with the hindsight that this album is Chester Bennington's final statement. But even with that knowledge, I really just don't care for the album. I don't. Again, I feel bad because it's the final Linkin Park album. It came out right before Chester died, but I just can't get into it. And I know a lot of people really hated that album when it first dropped, and I think in the years since, people have warmed up to that album because it's the final Linkin Park album, and pretty much Chester's final statement to the world, musically at least. But there when it comes to an albums before an artist's death, there are way, way better albums like Black Star by David Bowie, You Want It Darker, Leonard Cohen. There's also Hurt by Johnny Cash. Well, that's not a album, that's a song. His cover of Hurt that came out a little bit before he died. I don't think I don't think One More Light is anywhere near stuff like that. Anyway, gotta go. Have a good one, Mikey, huh? See ya. Bother me none. It's fun having you here. They released a new song from the One More Light era. Yeah, I know. Someone in my Discord server shared it. And I listened to it, and admittedly, I liked it more than a lot of the songs that actually made it to One More Light. So if that song did make it to One More Light, I would probably consider it one of the highlights of the album. But even still, it's not really saying much because I didn't think the song was fantastic or anything. Still has that, just kind of melancholy, listless sound to it that a lot of One More Light has. I just kind of wish the band ended on a better note than One More Light. I mean, I don't know if Chester knew that would be the last Linkin Park album. I don't know how like far in advance he planned to end his life. Could have been just a snap decision for all I know. I don't know the circumstances surrounding his death, but yeah, if on some level Chester did know that it would be the last Linkin Park album, I kind of wish it would have been a better album. EVGN said Atari 2600 was old school, while Tiger Electronic Games were outdated. I've seen people say that Atari 2600 games are just outdated. They're not, not enjoyable to play by today's standards, but I can't really comment on that because I haven't really played any Atari 2600 games. I remember at the dollar store of all places, at my local dollar store, like I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, me and my mom ran into an Atari 2600 that was being sold there. We didn't get it then, but then we were like, you know what? Let's go back. Let's go back to the dollar store and get it because why the fuck not? But by the time we got back there, it wasn't there anymore. I think a few days passed. Someone else bought it, which is unfortunate. I mean, I don't know what we really would have fucking done with it because it can't be hooked up to modern TVs, at least not without a whole bunch of fucking adapters and shit that I probably wouldn't be fucked to set up. But yeah, that was still an opportunity wasted. I heard they are making a new Atari 2600 model, or maybe not just strictly a 2600. Maybe it plays like 5200 games too. I don't know, but one that can actually be hooked up to a modern TV and it can actually play real Atari cartridges that came out back in the day, which is really cool. I don't know if I'll get that though. I mean, when it comes to older games, the farthest back I'm willing to go is the sixth generation. I mean, yeah, there are some exceptions when it comes to games that are older than that, like fifth generation games that came out on the N64 and PS1. Like, again, I was gushing over Ocarina of Time just a few minutes ago. Love that game, and that came out on the N64 in the 90s. I also really like OG Resident Evil 2 and 3. Those came out on the PS1. Great games. Like them. I even like uh I even like them more than the remakes that came out a few years ago. RE3 especially. I mean, I think they kind of dropped the ball with that game's remake, but yeah. Um, so there are games that are older than like the GameCube generation that I'm willing to play, but for the most part, the farthest back I'm willing to go is the sixth generation because that was when they started kind of perfecting the formula when it comes to 3D games. Games weren't. I mean, there were obviously some ugly games that came out even this in the sixth generation, but that was when games started to actually 3D games at least started to actually look decent and play decent. Eh, I'm sure there are probably some older people though who would scream at me for saying that though. I feel so bad for Chester. He had such a rough life. I don't really know the ins and outs of Chester Bennington's life, but yeah, I'd imagine he probably faced his share of hardships considering the way he died. When I battled Shroom in Earthbound, I used PK Flash on him and made him feel strange. Then he scattered spores on himself. Then I was able to beat him with PK Fire and PK Gaming. I'm glad I'm not the only one who calls it gaming. Um, yeah. Um, I hardly ever use the Flash ability in Earthbound. Same thing in Mother 3, since it's usually a coin toss whether or not it's actually going to do what you want it to do. I don't know. It's an ability I don't really use all that much. Don't really care for all that much. If I want to use a PSI ability or at least an offensive PSI ability, usually just go with either like freeze or fire or whatever. When was the last time I played Earthbound? I think it was in maybe November. I think. Probably. I remember when Earthbound first came out on the Wii U Virtual Console. I played it so many times. So many goddamn times. Because it was a game I was pretty hyped for because I heard so many great things about it. I was looking up gameplay after Iwata announced that it was finally going to come to Virtual Console. I remember that being a really shocking reveal. Oh my god, Earthbound is finally getting a modern re-release. Holy shit. And then a few years later, Mother 1 was announced, and people were like, holy shit, Mother 3 is only a matter of time now. Fast forward to almost 10 years later, and nope, nope, that didn't happen. It's probably not going to happen. I don't know. This might be pessimistic of me, but I don't think Mother 3 in the West is ever going to happen. I mean, it doesn't have an official translation like, of course, Earthbound did. And Mother 1 also had an official translation that was just never officially released. It was always just kind of sitting there in the Nintendo vault. Um, but Mother 3 never got an official translation. And honestly, I'm pretty fine with the fan translation because an official Nintendo translation would just be censored to hell more than likely. It's a very, thematically, it's a very heavy game. And there's a lot of, there's also, a lot of, I mean, there is swearing, quite a bit of swearing, but it's not like the characters say fuck or shit or whatever. But they, there's light swearing, like a character would say damn or something like that, which I'm sure Nintendo would probably cut out of the dialogue or change around some dialogue, and kind of like what they did with Earthbound when it released in the West. Though to probably a much higher degree, because again, Mother 3 is it's quite a bit heavier than Earthbound was. I wonder what Nintendo would do with that whole sequence where the party members eat shrooms and then have a drug trip. That's one of my favorite parts of the game. Oh wow, the sky is pink. I just noticed that from my webcam. I mean, it doesn't really pick it up all that well. You can tell it's pink, but yeah, it looks really nice though. I like it when the sky looks like that, especially since it's been mostly a gloomy day today. I mean, it didn't rain or anything, but it's just been cloudy all day. I mean, a little bit around the time I woke up, the sun was out, but then the clouds covered it again, and I was like, eh. I'm sure you know how I feel about gloomy days. They tend to depress me. Marcus Lindblom, one of the Earthbound localizers, played the Mother 3 fan translation at a convention in 2013. Hmm. Again, I'm fine with the fan translation because it would likely be better than an official Nintendo translation. Because again, I'd imagine the game would just be censored to hell if Nintendo were to ever give it an official release. Because I don't. I'd imagine how the West would react to the characters such as the Magypsies, where their gender is ambiguous and you know pretty much NB representation in a GBA game from 2006, which I personally find really cool. I like that a lot, but there were quite a few people here that would not appreciate that, and I'm sure Nintendo would rather avoid the controversy, as unfortunate as that is. It's one of the reasons why I'm not really that um optimistic when it comes to them making Vivian from Thousand Year Door canonically trans in the upcoming Thousand Year Door remake or remaster, whatever the fuck it's gonna be. Because I know exactly what the discourse would be. Nintendo is shoving LGBT propaganda in this kids game. They're trying to indoctrinate the children with this trans character in this video game. You know, for all I know, maybe Nintendo just won't give a fuck, and Vivian will finally be trans here in the West. I don't know, but I have a feeling Nintendo won't do that, and just kind of stick to Vivian being portrayed as cis, like how she was in the original GameCube release. Let me get into a more comfortable position now. And plus, Nintendo usually when they do remakes and remasters and such, they don't usually do major story changes like that anyway. So that makes me all the less, optimistic that they would make a major change like that to a character. But yeah, again, I'm open to be proven wrong. Marcus Lindblom also wanted to make a book about his work on Earthbound, but Nintendo didn't let him. Yeah, poor. I feel bad for the Mother franchise. It's been shafted by Nintendo for a long time. Like, I'm sure an official Mother 3 translation would make people go fucking ape shit. If Nintendo decided to not even put that on the Switch Online service and make it its own official, its own standalone release, people would fucking buy that. But they don't. They don't feel like giving that game an official Western release. And I understand the anger. A lot of people say, well, why should people even fucking care? There's always the fan translation to play. But I feel like, Nintendo's fucking bottlenecking the amount of potential players that would play an official Mother 3 release because there are people who don't care about playing it on emulators or don't care about buying a repro card so they can play it on a DS or an actual Game Boy Advance or a GameCube Game Boy player, you know? That shit like that is always going to be for a more niche audience, a smaller audience than, people who would rather just play, an official release you know, on a Nintendo console. But again, just kind of gotta accept the reality, I suppose, that that's not gonna happen. Again, I'm fine with the fan translation. I'll live. I'll keep playing on my repro cards. Don't mind that whatsoever. But it still just bums me out that the game is not going to get an official Western release, or almost certainly not going to get an official Western release, because I feel like there are a lot of people who would play the game, who would otherwise not play the game if it never does get an official release. A lot of potential players missing out on a such a fantastic game. Two uncensored sailor mouth clips surfaced in a Nickelodeon leak. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Is it real? Link? Because that is something I've always wanted to hear. Ever since I heard that the voice actors did actually swear in the uncut version of their of that episode, or not of the episode, of their voice clips. But no, if some of those clips actually did um, surface, I'm surprised I didn't hear about that. Probably on Twitter, I'd imagine. Wait, is this real? You fuckface. Is this actually real or is this AI? You can't even tell anymore. If it's AI, then I'm really disappointed. It's real? Holy shit. I hope there's more clips that come out. I know we're probably never gonna get the full thing, but I hope there's more that comes out because hearing SpongeBob say "blow me" is surreal. Like, yeah, the when I first heard that there actually are uncensored audio clips of the voice actors in character swearing, I was like, I really need to hear that. I really wish Nickelodeon would make that public. I mean, I know that would probably be like a PR disaster, at least when it comes to like, uh, hypersensitive parents, but I don't fucking care about that crowd. I want to fucking hear the whole SpongeBob cast cursing their asses off. So that's always been kind of a lost media holy grail to me, just for the novelty of hearing SpongeBob characters cursing. There's also a tape floating around of the full uncut episode from what I've heard. Yeah, I've heard about that too, but I don't know how legit that is. There probably is a tape floating around. I don't know, but I don't have much confidence that that would ever leak. I mean, I hope it does someday if it actually is real. But yeah. For the longest time, I assumed that the the voice actors weren't actually cursing, and they either weren't saying anything or I don't know, saying like gibberish or some shit when the whale sound effects were playing. But when I first heard that they were actually cursing when they were recording lines for that episode, I was like, yeah, this is something I really need to hear, and I'm disappointed that I'll probably never hear it in my lifetime. But here we are, two supposedly real voice clips surface. This is probably the best thing I've ever learned about during a stream. A 1998 build of The Sims 1 also surfaced late last year. Cool. Now, when the fuck is Earthbound 64 gonna leak? That's something I'm waiting for. I mean, I was about to say that's probably never gonna happen, but then again, I thought we would never get uncensored voice clips from Sailor Mouth, so maybe that's on the table. Earthbound 64, maybe, please. Want that to be a reality. That's probably my biggest lost media holy grail. Earthbound 64. Now, I've been honest in the past. I'm happy that it turned out to be a GBA game because when you look at like trailers for Earthbound 64 and the very few leaked images and footage we have of the game is ugly as shit. So I'm happy that it ended up being a GBA game because it's more in line with the art style of the first two games. But even still, let's I'm sure I mean, it's been confirmed there is so much cut content that didn't make it to the final game that I'm sure would have been really cool to actually, experience. Like if Mother 3 ever got a remake, I hope that at least, some of the N64 content, or at least, I mean, some of the content that was planned for the N64 version would make it to a remake. But I also just hope by some grace of God that a build for Earthbound 64 ever does leak. And then like maybe it'll be up to like the fan community to finish the game. That would be really cool. There's also the Luigi's Mansion beta. That's also pretty cool. I wonder if the GameCube Mother game will leak too if builds exist. I don't know. Do builds exist? I thought that was only ever like an idea that never ever ended up like actually, beginning production. I always took it that a GameCube remake of Earthbound was considered, but never actually began production. Are there builds that exist? I don't know how far that ever um, went in production, if it ever even started production. I wonder what an Earthbound remake on the GameCube would have been like, though. If the West ever got it, even if it's one of those GameCube, even if it would have been ended up being one of those GameCube games that cost like $300 or some shit because maybe it would have bombed here, I still would have it in my collection. That would be. There's no way I would toss up having a GameCube Earthbound remake in my collection. There's no way I would not have a GameCube Earthbound remake in my collection. I know at one point it was briefly considered that Mother 3 would go over to the GameCube, but as far as I know, that never actually ended up, you know, getting into production. I wonder how that would have turned out. I remember someone once tried to sell an Earthbound cartridge for $20,000. Why $20,000? Was it sealed in box or some shit? That's the only thing I could think of to make the cartridge that fucking expensive. But if it was just the cartridge on its own, used on top of that, why the fuck sell it for $20,000? I mean, I know the official cartridge is actually pretty expensive. Like I think it's even over $1,000, isn't it? eBay. Earthbound SNES. We hear $2,000 for it. Authentic in box. New save battery. Yeah, well, but the cartridge on its own. Here's someone selling it for $400. $200. Dry battery though. 350. Yeah. Hold on, my MacBook is telling me that it's dying right now, so let me plug it in real quick. Alright, it's charging now. Yeah. I mean, it would be cool to own the actual Earthbound cartridge, but I don't have an SNES. I don't have any interest in owning an SNES, and I am fine just playing Earthbound on the Switch's online service. I don't need I don't need to spend however much money an SNES costs these days, and on top of that, spending a couple of hundred on an Earthbound cartridge. No, thank you. If I did have an SNES and I was an SNES collector, like I am with the GameCube, then yeah, I probably would own an actual authentic Earthbound cartridge. But again, the SNES, I mean, I like some games, Earthbound especially. It's my favorite SNES game and one of my favorite games of all time. But as a whole, it's not a console I'm very passionate about. So yeah, I don't need an Earthbound cartridge. No, thank you. It was a cartridge only listing. So why the fuck was it $20,000 then? Ugh, online retailers, online sellers, I mean, can be so fucking stupid and scummy. On top of that, I mean, look at the prices for a lot of GameCube games these days. Jesus. But I know I'm part of the problem. I'm paying those prices, so sellers have no reason to um decrease the prices. People are still buying the games. It just sucks though, these exorbitant prices for older games. I've beaten myself up for this so many times in the past, and I'm gonna beat myself up for this once again. But I really, really wish I got into GameCube collecting when these games weren't so fucking stupidly expensive. I wanted to get into GameCube collecting in like 2013 when I was 12 years old. I mean, and this was back when GameCube games were like only like 10, $20 because no one wanted the games at the time. People were selling off their GameCube games. They didn't care about the console because at the time the Wii was still, well, the Wii was out at the time, but at the time the GameCube was old but wasn't considered nostalgic yet, so people just wanted to get rid of the games, get rid of their GameCube consoles because they didn't really think much about them anymore. Again, they weren't nostalgic for the console yet. But in the last few years, especially after the pandemic, a lot of people were like, a lot of people had free time on their hands. I should preface with that, and were like, "Yeah, I remember the GameCube. I loved that as a kid. I should have never sold my GameCube and my GameCube games. Let me buy a GameCube and the GameCube games I played as a kid." And then a lot of other people had this mentality too, and therefore prices just fucking skyrocketed. DKOLs are one of the biggest ones guilty for prices for retro games being so high. Yeah, and that's why I fucking hate DKOLs so much. They're just nothing but parasites in the retro gaming community, selling old games for exorbitant prices, selling old consoles for exorbitant prices under the guise of, well, we have employees to pay, and these employees work so hard to to refurbish these consoles. So that's why we set prices so high. When that was exposed to be bullshit, what the fuck is the point in spending more money than you should on these games and consoles from DK Oldies, When it was proven that these employees don't actually fucking do what DK Oldies claims they do. That's why I've always had a problem with the prices. I remember in some Review Tech USA videos back when he was making a lot of DK Oldies videos, he did make the point that a lot of the people who were complaining about the prices of games from DK Oldies were whiners or whatever, and that's not the real issue with DK Oldies. And I object to that because again, a lot of DK Oldies fans and DK Oldies themselves are trying to justify these prices by again saying that they have employees to pay. These employees work hard to refurbish consoles and clean these consoles thoroughly. And again, they weren't fucking doing that. They were selling consoles that were in some cases already fucking dead. Some people got like N64s that weren't turning on. And then they would bring out their like old dusty N64s from like their closet that still worked perfectly to compare. So like they are clear cut stealing money from their customers, inflating prices for a bullshit reason, for based off of lies pretty much. So I think it is perfectly valid to be mad about the prices they set for their games and especially their consoles. Because it would be one thing if their employees were actually thoroughly cleaning these consoles and were, refurbishing them, to an acceptable extent, actually, cleaning out these consoles and such. But they don't, or at least they didn't at the time. So again, that's why me and so many people were pissed off about the prices they set. Fuck DK Oldies. But DK Oldies pretty much got away scot free. For a few months last year, yeah, they were in some pretty hot water with the gaming community, and a lot of people were making videos about them, but, that whole hate train subsided, like all other online hate trains do. And I'm sure DK Oldies is right back to not refurbishing consoles and selling them for stupidly high prices because, they pretty much got away with it last year. Again, pretty much the whole fucking internet hated them for like 2 months, and then that whole subsided, and no one cares about them anymore. Just scrolling through my Twitter timeline. Someone bought KayaRychik.net and is now using it to criticize her. Welcome to my upcoming truthful website, KayaRychik.net. Over these next couple of weeks, this website is being built to be the place to get everything you need to know about me and how, due to my rhetoric, not only were there bomb threats, but a previous life was lost. Did I mention the head of schools where I inspired the bomb threats hired me? I have no educational background, but he was super impressed with my rhetoric. I hate what scares me. That's funny. What a fucking evil lady. There is definitely blood on her hands when it comes to Nexus, Next Benedict's death. So how all of you doing? You all doing all right? 4 people that are here. Kaya got the boot from Stripe and then she cried to Elon Musk about it. Yeah, I saw a screen cap of that. She was whining about that. Then Elon Musk was like looking into it, or one of his other stock responses. I'm surprised he never tried to like have his own try to make his own payment service on Twitter. And that's probably coming now, but surprised that's something he hasn't tried yet. Since he wants Twitter to be the everything app. Didn't he say at one point he wanted people to even fucking do their banking on Twitter? Yeah, if that's ever gonna fucking happen. Or if he does try to make that a reality, absolutely no one in their right mind would even want to fucking use Twitter for their banking. Especially since there's always the looming threat that there could be a breach. Just overall, I mean, Twitter was already a pretty garbage app before the Elon takeover. But goddamn, did it get so much worse under Elon? Because now, in like all these tweet threads, all these popular tweet threads, I should say, you always have like the dumbest fucking people right at the top because those are the only people who are paying for Twitter Blue or Twitter Premium, whatever the fuck it's called now, X Videos Premium, whatever. You know, those are the only kinds of people, dumbass conservatives who are paying for the blue check mark primarily. So, you have all this garbage that's always at the top of Twitter threads now. Just makes me even less inclined to want to read what people are saying in response to other tweets. I mean, I was already not, I was already, even before the Elon takeover, I already expected, stupid shit in the replies under a tweet. But now these people have an even bigger platform and are signal boosted. Yeah. Yeah. Elon is allegedly making an email service called Xmail. I haven't heard about that. You got Xmail. Sounds like fucking like sounds like mail from a sounds like porn mail you would find in your junk folder or some shit. Like sometimes I look at the junk inbox of my email for fun sometimes. Because it's usually just like the most obvious scams. My favorite one was one time I got an email telling me I could get a free PS5 or I won a free PS5. Click this link that totally doesn't lead to like a virus that'll try to hack into my accounts or whatever the fuck else to claim your prize. Well, I already had a PS5 at that point when I received that email, so already I wasn't going to click on I wasn't gonna fucking pay much mind to an email telling me that I won a PS5, but on top of that, yeah, I think the email also had like very obvious misspellings and horrid grammar, so yeah, all the more reason to not trust that on top of it already being in my junk inbox, so yeah. But it's so obvious Elon doesn't know what the fuck he's doing with Twitter. I just wonder how much longer he's gonna hold out with it because I still am of the belief that eventually he'll be like, you know what, I've had enough with this shit. you know, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. This side is only hemorrhaging money. I'm selling it off. I feel like it'll still come to that point at some point if the site doesn't just completely die before that point, which I guess is also a possibility with the mass exodus of advertisers. But yeah, it's pretty obvious he has no clue what the fuck he's doing because he's trying to make Twitter like the everything app. Again, he wants you to do your fucking banking on Twitter. Apparently now he also wants people to receive their emails on Twitter if what you're saying is true. When the initial appeal of Twitter is that it's a microblogging site to make little shit posts and such, you know? That's all people ever fucking cared about Twitter. That. Not all this other shit Elon is trying to cram into Twitter. I remember that tweet he made like a few weeks ago where he said, "This year I'm going to stop using my phone. I'm going to cancel my cellular service and I am only going to use Twitter to communicate with other people." Like, yeah, have fun with that. I'm sure no one else is going to fucking do that. So, like, what if you're in a place that doesn't have Wi Fi then? What the fuck are you going to do in that instance? Yeah, all I ever use Twitter for anymore is really to just share these streams. That's what I did right before this live stream started. Shared a link to it on Twitter. And I still do look at what other people post sometimes, but my Twitter usage has really decreased these last few months, especially after you know, after joining Blue Sky. I like Blue Sky. A lot of people complain that it's dead, and yeah, I mean, that's kind of a valid complaint, though. I do follow some accounts that are pretty active, so my timeline is never barren or anything, but other people have that problem. I do wish more people would actually migrate to Blue Sky, actually commit to migrating to Blue Sky. There's a lot of people who just join Blue Sky and say, "Hey, I'm finally on an alternative to Twitter. I don't have to use the hell site anymore." And then they make a few posts at most on Blue Sky, and then they're like, "Oh, I don't get as much engagement as I do on Twitter. I'm just going to go back to Twitter," and then they never touch their Blue Sky account again. I'm tired of that shit happening. Really fucking tired of it. I mean, it's like I said in that video a few days ago. If you really don't like Twitter, if you want to jump ship from the hell site, then stop using the hell site. A Japanese emergency service couldn't provide updates a while back after a major earthquake because of the API changes Elon made, and Twitter Blue subscribers were laughing at them. Damn, that's really fucked. Like, yeah, that's another draw for Twitter as well. It's a quick source of information. I mean, I know you shouldn't solely rely on Twitter for information regarding important events and current events and such, because there's a lot of false information that's spread on Twitter, especially after the Elon takeover. But still, there's a lot of actual news sites that are on there, or accounts of news sites. And again, you always had that quick, easy access to information regarding actual important current events from Twitter. So that's another draw to it as well. And now even that's being hindered by Elon. The National Weather Service also had API issues at one point too because of the API changes. Yeah. And also PlayStation just a few months ago stopped having Twitter support for screenshots and such you would take on a PlayStation, on a PS5 and 4, because there used to be a feature where you could share your screenshots and videos that you took on your PS5 and 4, I'm sure, onto Twitter directly through your PlayStation. But ever since the API changes and the increase in cost to access the API, they severed ties with Twitter. An hour and 58 minutes I've been streaming. Well, so 2 hour and 5 minute mark, I suppose I'll be finishing this. I may as well go to the 5 hour, 2 hour, 5 minute mark, since that is less than 10 minutes away. And yes, just like every other stream, my voice hurts. Yeah, I'm about ready to pack it in soon. After this stream, I'm probably gonna play more of Metroid Fusion. Started replaying that last night. Still really like that game. I don't know if it's my favorite 2D Metroid game. There's still Dread, but I still really enjoy that game. Playing it on the Game Boy player, of course. I don't really care that much for handheld gaming anymore. I never undock the Switch. I mean, there are times where like I have to take a piss break or something and I take the Switch with me. Well, not when I'm pissing, but bathroom break. But there's some convenience to the Switch. There are some conveniences that apply to me when it comes to the Switch being able to, also be played portable. But overall, I just keep the Switch docked. I much prefer playing on a TV. Handheld gaming appealed to me when I was a kid. I loved the DS, DSi, 3DS. But nowadays, I'm more of a fan of just playing on the TV. And that's why I love the GameCube's the Game Boy Player accessory so much. Probably the best accessory for any console ever because it expands the GameCube's library by fucking like thousands of games, however many games that came out for the Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. You know, and you could play it all on your TV. You don't have to play it on a little screen that may or may not have a backlight. The next part I have to do in Earthbound is the Plague Red of Doom. I like that fight because of the sprite, the big smile it has. I do like the boss fights in Mother 3 more than Earthbound though, because some of the boss fights in Mother 3 actually admittedly are kind of challenging or pretty challenging in some cases. I've had some close calls in my last playthrough of Mother 3. Earthbound, there's not really any boss that I have that much trouble with. Oh, 2 hours and 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm about ready to pack it in. Yeah, pretty low turnout this time, but oh well, it happens. Most streams are active, but then there are also some streams where it's not much activity going on in the chat. Oh well. But anyways, thank you to all the 5 people who stuck around here. Thank you to the one person who, for the most part, was posting here for the last like hour or so. Yeah, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for thank you all for being here previously. If you were here before but are not here now, yeah. I'll stream sometime in March, some Friday in March. Don't know when. It's usually pretty sporadic, or spontaneous. I mean, when I decide to stream. But yeah, there will be a March stream. March is also my birth month. My birthday's coming in March on the 20th. Yeah, I got nothing special planned for that, if you were wondering. Anyway, enough ramble. I'm done here. See ya.